You're listening to the Go Lightly Martial Hour on freedomtalkradio.net.
freedomtalkradio.net. Now, Mark Isaacson, wherever you disappeared to, you sent me a message about new music for the show, and then the message was taken down. I haven't been able to re-message you. All kinds of things going on. So, yes.
I'm getting very bored with that song.
Yeah, well, I know. It's time for a change. I mean, it's awesome. I love it, but it's time for a change. And we've got Adam over in the
UK.
Chat. No, well, he is in the UK. He's in the chat room right now, and he's saying yeah. And there's finally, Ross. Do you have audio this morning? Top of the morning, all yes, Ross. It is actually it's afternoon now. 4 minutes after midday. While you're answering me, you're not going to answer if you can't hear it.
Well, that's true.
Today is, what day is it? It's Friday. It's the end of the week. It's almost, and it's the 10th of July, 2015. And we are broadcasting from the home of the Christ, Brian Leonard. Go lightly, Marshall, Yahweh, the Lord Jesus Christ, announced by Pope Benedict. And yes, as Adam says to Ross, how do, fellow Roman? Adam, after yesterday's show, you found the Judas ketchup. I was noting your little jokes. How about that, though? And that was before the show. Looks like a good sort of a ketchup, too, and they've got a sense of humour. We have some more letters that we've received in the mail the last 2 days. Hello, John Lynch. We got your letter. Going to read... Ooh. As usual, sitting down, getting ready to reconcile my... Okay. John, we got your letter yesterday. No, this morning.
What?
I don't know. It's finished. He'll reconcile his accounts or something. Yes, John, we got your letter. And Scylla, we got your letter this morning. And Daniel Smith, we got your letter yesterday. So that was great. They are... we've got them. Wonderful.
Yeah,
so that's 4 this week. And the postman that made a mistake with our visas last month. It was the oddest thing. We've told you this, but we had to apply for visas. So we did a business visa to go in and out of Port Moresby, New Guinea. And so we were waiting on it, sweating on it, because they could at any time stop this thing, and this is what we always expect. And I don't mind if they stop them. What I can't stand is the fee going west if they do stop it. So that irritates. Anyway, bottom line is they didn't stop it. They gave it to us. But when it was delivered in an express envelope that we addressed to ourselves, it was put in the mailbox next door, 101. And they said at the time, the guy at the post office, when we made the inquiry, does anybody live next door? Well, there is. It's one guy. That's Cade. We're sure he's CIA, but he's a lawyer, Asia or whatever. And he's not there during the day. Lives alone and all the rest of it. Hello, Andrew. Bottom line is they've been very meek since they made that mistake. They had to come all the way out and find. And so they've got 4 letters now addressed to the Lord Jesus Christ, Brian Leonard, Go Lightly, Marshall. And we're signing for them. And I noticed yesterday when I signed that Graham was very meek. However, he wasn't in the vehicle today, was he? Or?
No, he was only his wife.
Only his wife. That's interesting.
Or he's probably in Asia meeting or something.
Making a report or whatever, because your letters are getting through. That's wonderful. So,
see, the whole point, you've got to get your mind around this. This has been something I've been doing for a very long time. So therefore, the amount of time they try to kill me, it's got to tell them something. That they're dealing with something they can't quite control or understand and are very fearful of. And therefore, they're not going to put an ordinary postman on delivering our mail, or the guy next door who moves in just happens to be a lawyer. And with Australia, what they do is they have the Secrecy Act, and they can grab you, drive them down the street, pull you over, make you sign the Secrecy Act, and you're all working for ASIO, and that's it. They are very, very malicious and determined to control the masses, and therefore, with myself, they have got everything covered. So a 3-year-old riding past on a tricycle, I'm looking sideways at, because you don't know the depths of the infiltration or control of the masses, even a little bike going past with a camera on. Who knows?
No, tell me.
Sorry?
Peter and your laptop.
Well, what happened was Adam, who was living with us, bullshitted me into buying him a computer, and then he went to his mother and said to her that instead of paying the money that he was going to pay the next morning, that he would pay it in 2 weeks. Well, that wasn't the deal. And I kind of figured this would be on, because what did he do? He buys drugs with it, and that ended up with the death of our dog. Because he got stoned out of his tree and left the dog in the car and forgot about it. So I can sort of feel these things coming. I can't really say to my darling here and say, listen, don't do this because of such and such. I just say, don't do it. And if it's done, the disaster will occur. So I really give up after.
Well, this all happened miles away, the agreement.
Well, that's right.
Anyway, it played out the way it did, and you had a dream about it. And
so I get this computer that he was very, very fond of. And of course now he's not going to be paying for it, so I said, right, I'm keeping it. So I've been using that for doing the emails and doing a bit of surfing, not too much though. And because I usually don't do that sort of thing, I'm more concentrating on the computers which I know I have isolated from any internet. And there are backdoors into all, even if you are not connected to the internet, they can still backdoor you through other means. So I'm aware of all that. A friend of mine is a computer expert. He used to teach in the universities and so forth.
Well, they know him. The people
and
listening.
Peter.
Mm.
And I took the computer in to him 2 days ago, and he's checking it out. And he's found 710 viruses and a little under 40 Trojans. He said it's full of backdoor observation. So in other words, when I'm online, they're watching everything I do, not only from our own lovely people in Australia, even though they might be Jews, and others around the world are watching. In other words, the computer base is not really big enough to handle everybody looking at what I'm doing. So this is what he was telling me, and he's a computer expert, so I'll take his word for it. So 710 viruses, that's not a bad effort.
This is for a computer that doesn't go online.
For a computer we don't use.
Yeah. And it's...
So that sort of proves the point, doesn't it?
Anyway, the point is that you gave it to Peter because it was so slow, it was so frustrating for you. And
dreadful.
When it's got all the capacity to be super fast.
Absolutely. Mm. This is a gaming computer.
Yeah.
That's what Adam got it for. Mm. Which even got the gaming mouse.
Mm. Yeah. There's Diana. Hello, Diana.
So the more they try and the more the bullshit they come up with, it's like in the days of Noah. They can read all about that. And what was that all about? Well, humankind have been given free will and become so evil, and then mating with angels and all this kind of thing. And you can take it any way you like. Something was seriously wrong in the time of Noah, which meant that it all had to be destroyed. And then you got Sodom and Gomorrah. Let's not forget that. And it had to be destroyed. So what have we got today? We've got the Pope saying it's all right to be gay. Gay comes from Jesus. It's God. It's love. Blah, blah, blah. And then we've got all of the laws of the United States now. You've got, well, we heard one, I don't know whether it's true or not. Some cake manufacturer or cake shop wouldn't put anything regarding gay people who wanted to get married. And they got fined $125,000, something like ridiculous like that.
it's now the infiltration onto the internet, because it seems now that these laws have been passed. This is what they're aiming for, and so the internet is flooded with stories about one being charged or prosecuted for not going along with this, that, and the other. So everything is focused on the gay agenda, which is the reason that Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed and the flood before it. So we are fairly and squarely. I mean, Yah just loves it. You did, and these are things that I've been reading in passing. Jimmy Carter's supposed to have said this, that he thought Jesus would okay gay marriage, although he could find no scriptures to support it. And this morning, Pope Francis saying that the Bible is not the Word of God. Well, he's partially correct in that. It's not saying that he's supporting. This is what Yah's been saying all along. It has been a manipulation and a control mechanism, and the evil ones, who are the Jews that call themselves Jews, who are behind the gay agenda anyway, the lovely people, have been the ones to infiltrate everything. So it is entirely the agenda of John 8:44. Ye are of your father the devil, who is a murderer and a liar from the beginning, because there was no truth in him. Now the truth be known is that we've made it very clear. Adam made a comment to Ross this morning that he is completely unambiguous. What does that mean? It means what he says is very plain. It's the truth. It's the one that sorts the marrow from the bone. It's piercing, and there's no double meaning to it. Hello? Homosexuality is of the devil. And those that practice it, those that are bent towards it, have no escape. They will not survive the coming reaping. The reaping is very, very real. So
you can look at it another way, that we are now blatantly seeing things, especially with the internet. We can see all sorts of stuff doing, and there's homosexuality, and we've even got Obama and his
tranny wife.
So-called thing he calls his wife is a male, and on it goes. And of course they've adopted 2 children, half-white children, by the way.
Are they the children?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what have we really got? We've got all this homosexuality and this immorality, and the Talmud, if you want to look into it, the Talmud is just exactly what it's predicting would happen. Of course it is doing that. So basically we're saying, right, God here, now I want all you homosexuals over to the left, we're going to kill you all. And they said, bullshit. And of course they're all moving into that area of self-recognition, even talking about Peter's daughter, who is as gay as a Mardi Gras. She's on this latest show in America. What's it, Black and Orange or something? Orange and Black?
Oh, something about the prison show, about the new Black is Orange.
Offering all sorts of movie deals. And of course, she's a very famous...
Ruby Rose is her name. Look up Ruby Rose and how much it's focused on her lately.
It's not a full name, but Ruby Rose
Well, that is the name that she goes by.
Yeah, that's the name she goes by. That's not a full name. Anyhow, they're all moving over. It's just defying God, if you like. It's all bullshit. God has to now apologise for Sodom and Gomorrah is one thing they've come out with. And
it's supposed to be satire.
On it goes. Well, I'm just sitting there, and we got little Amber coming down, only an 11, 12-year-old girl now, a lovely little child, from Nimbin, where she was the first to alert me to the homosexuality that's taken over the school system down there.
As in the teachers.
As in the teachers,
headmaster,
etc. And she said to me about killing them. I said, well, yeah.
But this is yesterday. This
is yesterday.
Right?
Now, I don't want her to go out and kill them at all. But watch for it. They are going to be killed. If you've got cancer, what do? You get rid of the cancer virus within you, or the cancer cells, and you kill it. On a human scale, this homosexuality and the Talmud, and there's the lovely people out there, which I think are the chosen people, which is, by the way, and I don't want anybody to say anything naughty against them, the Jews, lovely, lovely people, the chosen ones. Those and the homosexuals are all out here. It's their choice. They've done it. See you later. All I'm saying is be nice to each other, love each other. This is what the Bible, which part you can believe, is where it says anything about love each other, so forth. And be very careful reading the Bible. If you want to know anything about it, you better ask me first, because it's totally they plagiarised manipulation to make it appear that Paul the Apostle and all this kind of thing. I was just watching a show today about the in the days of Noah. Been around for a long time. Got the old thing that they repeat, and it's always referring to Paul said this and Paul said that and blah blah blah. Well, you can't make yourself an apostle, I'm afraid. So he wasn't an apostle. He was a Pharisee. He was a lawyer, and I think he married Herod's sister, something. But in any case, he was responsible for the deaths of many, many people, including the first apostle of the church in Rome, which was Peter. He was responsible for getting him killed. So it's really a time for rejoicing, because it's almost saying that there is not enough new ways of slapping Jesus in the face, or God in the face, by their carry on around the world. Right? They're talking about cloning, they're talking about constant abortions. As a matter of fact, half of the population in Japan, that's girls who become pregnant, men are aborted, half of them. So where did this all start? It all started with our lovely Swedges again, those chosen people. I don't want anyone to say anything else against them. They are lovely people, they are chosen. And let's not forget that. Don't know by who, it certainly wasn't me. So the whole theme of what's happening today, if you was to go back 10 years ago, you couldn't believe what we're seeing on the televisions and on the media, and on the laws that's being made around the world, and the various things. And every time you turn your computer on, I go in to check my mail. It's got Greece's financial system, what's going on there, and you've got something else, and what's happening in Syria. I don't want to fucking know. Well, I don't care. All I want to do is read my bloody mail. Right? But that's how it is. So you are bombarded constantly with either subliminally or directly, you are getting this in your face. So naturally the human race is becoming totally, the Western world in particular, because it's the Western world that they're targeting, Christian world. So why would you say that's they're targeting the Muslims? Of course not. The Muslims are Jews. Like every Muslim running around thinking they're praying to Muhammad and all this kind of bullshit they go on with, and Allah and blah blah blah. What Muhammad said originally was not in the Quran anyhow. He didn't write the Quran, although everyone thinks he did. He was illiterate, and he was murdered by the Jews that lived, lovely people though, don't get me wrong, that lived nearby, a small community of Jews that were responsible for the death of Muhammad and his offspring.
And they come from the House of Saud.
They come from the House of Saud.
The House of Saud are Jews.
Are Jews.
It's an infiltration from the beginning. Now, Hirad is here. Hello, Hirad. Good to have you back. Says he's just got home. And Diana was talking about some Aborigines that she met in the street. She's going to encourage them to come into the chat room tomorrow to tell their story through the chat room and ask questions, etc. That's awesome. If you can do that, Diana. And I was about to say something else.
Diana's at Nimbin, which is the marijuana capital of Australia. And it's quite a humorous place because a lot of the population there is Aboriginal. And they are a humorous race of people once you get talking to them. Very, very mouthy. You don't want to get an argument with them because they'll end up stoning you or something. But they are a likeable people. And we made a few friends down there. There's Aboriginal. And
who is the dude with all the children?
Yeah, 25 kids. This guy, he looked a bit like he would make a great movie star. This guy, he's a half caste, front teeth missing, tough as. I mean, he worked out all the time. He's just a one tough looking geezer. You don't want to get in a fight with him in an alley. And I said to him, "How many kids you got?" And he said, 25, 11 different women. So he's a local stud, but he would make a good sort of Carl. What's his Bronson? Charles Bronson type character, yeah. Rather tougher than him to look at. Oh, geez, what a strange looking character, but very likeable man. And because he's heavily into the spiritual side of the Aboriginal people, he told us a lot about it. And yeah, we're very nice one.
Met some characters.
Yeah,
Diana says they're all tough here.
He was singing to us in the streets an Aboriginal chant, right?
I think you're tougher than all of them put together, though, Diana.
Diana, I should say. Oh, talk about a wizard.
Now, of course,
It's relentless.
it's
We talk
funny.
to a brick wall and win.
Funny as a circus, because Diana, we first started communicating with you, of course, from when we were in Fiji. And you remember this, so it must have been 2011 when there was some day coming up for Nimbin to celebrate, and you were asking maybe we could come. And I was saying to Yara that we've got to go to Nimbin, meet Diana, she's doing all this marvellous work, because she clicked in and got it and immediately began to do the work, where she had literally, Diana at one point or another has had every town, every citizen of the town of Nimbin boarded up, holed up, backed up against the wall as she has told them the news of Yahweh. She is relentless. But anyway, I remember from Fiji, Yah saying, we are not going to Nimbin, I am not going to Nimbin, we are not going to Nimbin. And then the other place we were never ever going to, of course, was to visit Joel, who was living at Coolum Beach at the time. No, we are not going, because Joel was doing all this marvellous work while we're in Fiji, since we didn't have very good internet. He was sending us gig sticks. He'd buy a gig stick and have all the latest that was happening, on YouTube and the news and everything that was going on in the world, because we didn't know. And he'd send it to us and anything that we needed. So that we're going to go and visit Joel in Coolum, after it's not far from Nimbin. No way, Jose. Well, guess where we ended up once we left. We're deported from Fiji. We left the country on the 4th of June. It was the 2nd of June that was an anniversary we kind of let slip by. 4 years ago, we were arrested for, it was all a total set-up, because they took the visa that I got for the extension, and then we were there on without a visa. So it's all part of the DVD, and made a wonderful upload. You all remember the movies of the two that were taking us to the airport. The one that was so drunk from Carver from the night before, he ended up asleep on the shoulder of the driver.
They're really children.
Yes, Yes, you do remember that, Diana, yeah. So, of course, we end up in Nimbin, and we stay with Diana at the is it the Rainbow Tent City? Teepees, and we had a little cabin,
like
but teepees, just up the teepees, just up the road.
By a CIA character.
Yeah, oh, totally. That was funny. They're so. I mean, if I can pick them now, then that's really bloody obvious.
They're all made the same factory, aren't they?
They are like the RCMP.
In Canada, if you go to Canada, the easiest way to find a copper is look for a tall guy with a moustache. They're usually a policeman. They're all the bloody same. You go into a police station and all these Thai guys with a moustache.
What about the policeman at, this was so funny, Port Augusta. So we're moving now through time. It was 2009. And speaking about, Rainbow Backpackers, that's it. So 2009, throughout July into August, we go through the Northern Territory in your brother's suicide car, the Hyundai Sonata. I've told this story before. It was so incredibly wrong. Is that we should be going through the outback of Australia, right through the red centre, in this Hyundai Sonata, this LPG thing. Anyway, thank you, NRMA.
NRMA is like the insurance group in most states.
Roadside assist.
Roadside assistance.
And insurance. So we took out insurance on both vehicles.
You did?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Now, this is how did it come about? This is how one thing leads to another. Adam and I are homeless. We're kicked out of our place at Barrel.
Well, you're right. I didn't do it.
Adam comes... how did I do it?
Well, I didn't do it. It's because they hate me.
Yeah, I know. It was not because of you that we were kicked out. I was kicked out, and Adam chose to come with me. He said, well, my mother's going to be homeless. I'm going to be homeless with her. So the Freedom Wagon was our home. The
last thing I want to do is take Adam with me.
Oh, totally. But anyway, but we did, and Charlie. So we're broken down in what, Hungry Jack's or something. My car is not working. So phone Yah, he's in Melbourne. Bottom line is, get the car signed up to NRMA, the Freedom Wagon and the Hyundai Sonata, because we're going to take this through the Northern Territory. End up staying at the log cabin. Yah's coming up from Melbourne. We're heading out through the Northern Territory, and I pull up outside the log cabin over in Penrith there, and you know, there's these great big four-wheel drives, you know, big wheels, rugged looking, with red dust all over them. And I'm saying, this is ridiculous. We are going to this area where these trucks have been covered with the red dust, which means the centre of Australia, and we're going in a bloody Hyundai Sonata. So I said, we should be going in one of those. Anyway, long story short, Yah comes in the Hyundai Sonata. We drive the Mitsubishi van all the way back to Melbourne. We broke down in the Hyundai Sonata 3 times on the way down into Melbourne, and then another 2 times until we finally reached Port Augusta, when the Hyundai Sonata totally carked it. And so I called on the RMA for the 5th time, and we had a lovely extended cab 4-wheel drive ute, even with a yellow light flasher on the top. Compliments of the NRMA for the next 2 weeks.
It was $4 a day, huh?
Yeah, we paid the extra $4 a day instead of whatever. So anyway, we ended up driving through up to Uraduma, yeah, where the CIA setup was up there, Asia, whatever. Now, of course, this is on the lead up to the year before, no, 2 years before actually meeting Diana and the Aborigines in Nimbin, who had all been educated about, and this is
so the Aboriginals know inwardly that the white race is trying to kill them.
Oh, they do. They know that. But nothing we told them.
Well, they can't do nothing about it.
Yeah, Maralinga, the testings, everything.
Oh, it's unreal.
So they're really clued in, even though they're young, especially. You know, the alcohol that they do consume. Because why? Well, you know, the British, that's the first thing the Brits do, is introduce alcohol into native tribes that cannot handle it. Hello?
So did New Guinea the first time they were
that
up in
and
the
cut off the
River,
food supply.
They bring in the booze.
It's all orchestrated to destroy these native communities, which are strong, have their own ethics and
We're a Christian nation, for example, up in New Guinea. It's 96% or so are Christians. So they've got to control them one way or the other. That's what we were talking about last week or so, where the Jews have gone in with a new covenant. Well, the new covenant word means something to the Christian native person.
Cut a new covenant. Oh.
And of course the Jews have gone in there posing as the fulfillment of the new covenant, which is a Jesus thing, you see. So they get sucked in by it and get all their gold ripped off. So lovely people, the Jews, I must admit.
Yeah, Diana said the young are in self-destruct mode, and Asia aren't even undercover around us there. No, they're not. When worlds collide and booze. So
they're not proud of themselves, and they're forced into a situation where they get into the marijuana and the beer and no work, of course. And next thing they're fighting and carrying on. And get into trouble, and they're in the courts, and it's just big circle.
Now, what happens in Papua New Guinea and at the Indonesian border there is that the guards on the border will shoot dead anybody that has marijuana, because they're using it. It's like it's not the new gold; it's the new thing to trade, because it just grows. As you know, it's a plant. And it's been demonised, but anybody caught with it up there, then the Indonesian guards just shoot them. And the old man that went back to the area that we met, and he was up there 3 days, came back and he told us that for the marijuana that a young person had on them, the guards shot him dead at the border in front of this old man. So there's no understanding of what it's all about. It is all part of the manipulation. Again, it all comes from the Jews. And we have reinforced this now. Remember a couple of days ago I said, yeah, let's everybody have enough rope to hang themselves. So as he has enjoyed a bong from the time he was 45 or whatever, and people relax around him, and then they show their true colours, that kind of thing, and it exposes... Well, Yah has allowed those around him who abuse it to expose themselves. And he has said now that the smoking of marijuana is not allowed.
I haven't seen a good result from people who are smoking marijuana.
The people that smoke it.
I smack with Aboriginals, I smoke with different ethnic groups around the world, and it always ends up the same.
Yeah. And there's no use crapping on about it and philosophizing and all the rest of it. It won't be allowed. The use of the plant, absolutely. Juicing it is more beneficial than smoking the stuff anyway. Using it, the oils and you know all the uses that it's good for. But smoking it always, the young in particular, it always leads to a downward spiral because they're not, they're just, so there's no point crapping on about it. You're not going to be...
Not going to happen, so...
You're not going to be convincing God to change his mind or whatever. And yes, he has smoked it. He knows what it's all about. As a matter of fact, the first time I saw him smoke it with Adam was so disastrous. He was so sick over it. And all he could say, this is Yah, all he could say is, how can these young people do this to themselves, and this has to stop. So for all those out there promoting Yah as a pothead and all the rest of it, well, it's all about the judgment.
You're talking about me, I don't care.
But it's
not an election, so...
It's not about promoting marijuana.
Join the homosexuals, you can be over there on the left-hand side with the chosen people.
Yeah.
I don't want no one to put them down because they are chosen. Lovely people.
Again, the plant itself, it is holy, as all plants are.
Doomed.
They are part of the creation, but they are not to be abused. And the temple of God was not designed to inhale a smoke
bloody poppy plant, right? I mean, it's got some very beneficial things about it. But boy, dear, if you get hooked on that crap, and then you got your laboratories, primarily coming out of the United States, and the CIA, etc., that are employing people and chemists and so forth to come up with these terrible, terrible drugs that really destroy a person's life. Ice is another one I looked at recently. Oh dear me. What it does to a young woman.
So
cocaine turns them into nymphomaniacs.
The point is that the human body, the body of flesh, the temple of God was not designed to inhale anything. Hello? We eat and we drink. All right? We do not smoke anything. System was not designed for it. We use things in their proper order and we appreciate the medicinal benefits of all of these things. So let's get that sorted right now because, there are those that are still continuing to do what is not going to happen in the future. No, it's not paradise for the children to come.
No.
All right? Everybody's got the wrong idea about paradise. It's Yah's idea and my idea of paradise for the children to come. Most have already blown it. Right? Blown the opportunity in this life that is the judgment. Got it wrong. So, temperance.
We'll sort it out, don't we?
Anyway, yeah, we will sort it out. Hello, Mark Saxon. Of course, there's many other ways to use weed than smoke. And, that's the whole point. All of these plants, mostly everything in the plant kingdom has medicinal benefits that are to be used for the cleaning out.
Overuse, you got a problem.
Yeah. Better to smoke than not use it all. Well, there's other way. You can juice it. Rather than smoke it, juice it. There's much more.
What else are you going? You're going on a bit longer.
Oh, well, I'm just responding to what Mark has said. All right, we've got more epistles to read. These letters of this time are epistles. This is how things were written in the past. Well, there's a letter from Adam. But more before that, we've got our 3, John Lynch and Scylla, and then not to forget Daniel. Daniel Smith, we got your letter yesterday. Thank you. They're all taking 14 days to reach us. So I've decided this morning that I'll sit down at the end of a week and respond by hand. Yah will respond by hand. So you will have his sign, which is his signature, and we'll mail to the address that comes in on the envelope. So it's a two-way street of recognition. And yes, this one came in. Greetings, Yah and Ash. This is from Daniel Smith in Arizona. And Daniel watches over on the YouTube. Real good guy. This is John Garner's from the other day. Greetings, Yah and Ash from Daniel Smith, your YouTube friend. And so Daniel was born in Bermuda, and looks like Hamilton, Bermuda, and on May the 31st, and 1949. Daniel, you surprised me. You sound much younger than that in your writings, in your comments and your writings, etc., Daniel. So, and Daniel just said it's an honour to correspond with you, as it is
likewise
for us, Daniel, to acknowledge your following, and we'll hand sign. You can keep it as like from the days of Jesus. There was nothing with his signature. There is one letter that was sent to Odessa, wasn't it? The king, that they've been able to find. This one in from Scylla Haley, Haley's the one that's been responsible for the starting of the group. The Christ is Back, but the media are censoring it. Now, of course, Haley's been on our case now for several years, suffering herself, first of all with her own mother, who was, sounds like a bit of a witch, gave her a really hard time all of her life. And then she's been fighting a cancer now. But once she found, she's been like a dog on a bone to tell everybody and not giving up. She's gone back to the same people over and over. And anyway, the group is growing. How many actually really believe or respond doesn't matter. The point is that they come in and they get to hear the news. What they do with it is up to them. Dear Yara and Ash, just a short note to tell you, I have created the above offices and am notifying local organisations. So, yes, she did. She sent this from the England office of the Lord Jesus Christ, Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall, with the address Birmingham Road, Bordersley, Redditch. I have sent a letter to my office along with this one to you. I am printing letterheads properly at work. Didn't have a printer set up. Don't have a printer set up here. Hope you can read the scribbly writing. Perhaps you could also send a letter back to my office the same, and we will do that. This is prior to this, I know it hasn't happened. Adam, Mark, and hopefully Andy will be coming to visit at the end of next week. It is almost my birthday, the 6th of July. I look forward to receiving a letter from you, if you are able. Much love, Haley, Alex, which is Haley's son, and Rita, the Rottweiler. Not to be confused with another Rita that we've come to know. She says, P.S. I'm wondering how the man at the post office will react. Laugh out loud. All right, thank you, Haley. That's your letter. It's going to be a special file to keep all of these archived. And we'll better scan every single one of them that comes in for the electronic file. And then John Lynch, John the Fishman, he's in the chat room now. From Shasta Lake. John, what's interesting about your registered letter is, maybe this happens for everyone, is that the post office seemed to have gone overboard, and there's 9 stamps, 10 including the one on the front, but 9 across the seal of the back envelope. They've stamped it all over. And this was mailed on June the 24th. Then inside was John's envelope. Again, addressed to Yahweh, Lord Jesus Christ, Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall. Now, this is interesting, John, the way you did this is that my testimony to the world, to those who have eyes to see and ears to hear. I, John Michael Lynch, wonderful middle name there, John Michael Lynch, a.k.a. John the Fishman, being of sound mind and body, find Brian Leonard Golightly Marshall to be exactly who he proclaims to be, the returned Jesus, Lord of Lords and King of Kings, God in the flesh. I stand by his side unshaken. Let no one stand against him. And his sign, John Lynch, John the Fishman. Of course, John does. He tends to fish. He makes them healthy again. Plus, he's an awesome gardener. Now, John Hall could not get over into the chat room today because he's not where he usually is. But I always think, John Lynch, that you and John Hall together, Sons of Thunder, that's the way I think of you, make an awesome team. You're both able to grow things, whether it be plants or fish. So there will come a day when you're doing exactly that, or part of the kingdom. Yes, it was an awesome letter. And Mark Saxon, I'm going to send a letter, brought a printer today. Good for you. But I get all my stamps free, laugh out loud. Good. Okay. Yes, you know, what was it, John Garner, his letter, his cost £1 to send through ordinary international mail. Yeah, £1. And his letter, of course, was the signing over the head of Elizabeth, notifying that Elizabeth is under him. Understood. He is standing upon her. All right. Now, I promised Adam, you're still there, roller skeezer. I hope you haven't fallen asleep. It's always so early in the morning for Adam Yates or anybody listening from the UK. Mark, you too. I'll read Adam's latest. Now, I hope you appreciate people, because I named the letter from... it was Jonas, who is another John, and John Garner from England. I called it the epistles of 1 John and 2 John, an epistle being a letter. This is how epistles are written, usually question and answers between, and that's how things are written. And then you have an archive, and then you can draw upon the archive to include them in a book. So these are the modern day epistles of the modern day saints. So I'm going to read Adam Yates, his response to Yah once
Well, you have
more.
to read the original letter first.
Yes. That was read yesterday. They were all...
Yeah, but you have to read it in context. You can't say, well, I read it 2 weeks ago and I'm going to read the reply to it today.
It was read yesterday, so I'll read... Okay, reread.
Well, that's the whole bloody point, isn't it?
Yes, I will reread. I've got to get to it. Alright, that means I have to go over here.
Get the email. Email, snap it out of there and put it into Word and expand it.
I've got the 2 from yesterday here on my desktop. But the one from this morning came through Facebook messaging. Oh. Here it goes. So I'll read Yah's response again. This deserves rereading, and then Adam's once more response to this one. So this is my son. Now Adam himself has also posted this in comments over on the Facebook for everybody to read. My son, you have not imagined these things. It is the higher self, where empathy dwells as a strange bedfellow with myself. As such, when Peter was asked, "Who am I?" he replied, "You are Christ." To which I replied, "This was from the Father." Likewise, this resounded in his immortal soul, to be the man who would be reborn, innocent enough to do the same in 2013, even though he, like I, would be confronted with the hounds of hell, the same that compassed me about on the cross. Now, I need to just say something in here about Pope Benedict. If you read about his life, he was completely and totally innocent all of his life from a young boy, and pure of heart, only wanting to be good, to love Jesus and to serve him. Now this, in effect, I think has actually kept him a little bit like myself, for I did not know what surrounded me, my life, the same things that surrounded Benedict, and Benedict surrounded me, but I was of that mind where I only gave people the benefit of the doubt and love them and try to encourage them, etc. I think it was a shield and a protection the same as it has been for Benedict, as it was a total surprise to him as Yah began to uncover and unveil the gross evil that has surrounded him. He says, to some, Jesus, the Jesus thing is nothing more than a myth, but to the saints, the suffering of the Father on the cross is a thought that few have empathy with. Locked within the flesh of a little boy, it was necessary for the Father to be separated from the flesh enclosing us. The creation of a son cut off from fully understanding, indicated by, Father, your will be done, was a momentary plea overshadowed by the emotion of what had to be, clouding the mind gripped by fear, but inwardly willing to do what fear had momentarily erased. That clear understanding, when praying to the Father in quiet times, confirmed in the hours before the cross as the final reality. The moments raced even faster as the inevitable drew near. In quiet moments, fear would overcome me. My mind would soar, searching for an escape, unable to keep up with the reassuring knowledge I was privy to. Fragmented, unable to focus, my heart raced. To collapse, exhausted, vaguely remember the calming voice within, assuring the little boy of how it will be in the distant future. My escape was near, but to where? To a parallel realm, to suffer a new cross, where nails would be replaced with unimaginable emotions, piercing through my heart to the depths of my soul. My task would be over as the shadow of a far greater cross loomed before me. Far worse, as this time it would be the Father who would endure it, and I within him, in a strange parallel where I would become his assuring voice of peace, love, and wisdom. He, armed with it, the Comforter, finally would overcome. Regardless, no understanding would suffice. Sadness wrenched at me to finally understand completely that the Father and I are one, and he would simply change places with me, and I would be forever alive as the Comforter within him. So it is Adam's response to that epistle from Yah to Adam.
Just to explain that, the Virgin Mary conceived of the Holy Ghost. The Holy Ghost is timeless, therefore it can exist in any realm. And this delivered the Y chromosome to the XX chromosome, 23 chromosomes of the female side, from Eve, the mitochondria, and no male. So therefore, this is why when you read your Bible, they say Jesus is the Son of Man. He's not. It's the Son of God. All right. So the God part is the soul, and that's within the blood. On the cross, the horrendous beating and the wounds, open wounds, which remained and are imprinted on the Shroud of Turin, and the photograph of the old man. The soul was a photograph of the soul. No shroud researcher has got that right yet, although I've told them for 20 years. So the soul left on the cross and then re-entered through the Shroud of Turin, imprinting on both sides the image of the Father, to be worn on the outside and resurrecting the flesh of Jesus. There's no blood involved. It wasn't blood coming back into the body of Jesus. It was void of blood. That's why it mentions the spear and first come out blood, then water. So in other words, the body was completely void of blood. So the soul had gone. So the soul now is worn as a garment. And that's why I've said to a lot of people out there don't quite get it. The Great Pyramid's all about the white, 144,000. It's Revelation 14:3 and 14:4. It talks about 144,000. Well, that's the Great Pyramid. And there's 7-ton blocks, and the 7 represents the 7 times that you reincarnate. Up to 7 times. But the wedding has to take place. This is the Canaan wedding ceremony where the water is turned to wine, turned to blood of the grapes. So people are asking how do they become and take on their soul on the outside. Well, it's a matter of accepting me. Once you've done that, you are accepting and understanding that the soul is now worn as a garment. This is the Isaiah prophecy, Isaiah 63, where the Lord's coming back to the earth, and he's coming from Sodom and Gomorrah, which is the earth today, let's face it. Can't be any mistake there. And can't find anyone worth saving, so he crushes the whole world. And this is the Sodom and Gomorrah prophecy repeating itself, Armageddon, where the people are as tall as the horse's bridle, so therefore they are all millions and millions and millions of them are all gathered into the one place for Armageddon, where the blood, which is the soul of all human beings, is up to the horses' bridles, which are crushed. So we have a situation then where the crucifixion of 3 hours and 16 minutes was painful, but it was necessary to release God from within the flesh, which was in the blood, which is the soul, out of Jesus. And then to go forward in time to the rebirth because of the resurrection occurring on the same moment in 33 AD as it did in the conception of Daphne Golightly in 1943. So the Holy Ghost, which is God himself, myself, conceives within Daphne as it was in Mary. So then you've got the genetic line of the King of Kings and Lord of Lords up through the genetics of Daphne Golightly. So that's what that part all fits together. So now I have on occasion had all the blood drained out of me, and I still didn't make any damn difference. I still carried on the same as I did before, and when the doctors were totally amazed by all that, because they tried to kill me when they was blowing up a kidney stone. 23 doctors from around the country had stood around looking away from me as they're sticking a stent up through me into my kidneys and into an artery to bleed me to death. And of course it didn't work. So after 6 days the blood just reappeared in my body, and that was it. Surprise, surprise. So I don't need blood to survive. This is the whole point. The soul is what causes all your DNA to work. And the soul, of course, is in the blood for most people. I'm saying to you, take it on, understand that, and you will then take on the wedding garment, which is the white soul that goes on the outside, which is given to you, and it's in the book of Revelation, that your soul has been made white by the blood of the Lamb. This is the cross. So, with this birth today, the Jesus dying on the cross, the Son of, released the soul to die on another cross. But this time, not for 3 hours or so, for a lifetime of 71 years. And that is the sad part about what Jesus was unable to directly tell you. But it is there if you read the Isaiah prophecies and how it all fits together, and understand the Great Pyramid and what that's all about, which was built before the flood, to eliminate from the face of the earth the demons that also reincarnate, because if the demons don't reincarnate, you don't reincarnate either. So they've all got to reincarnate until the culling at the end, and this is where we're at this point in time. What's $105? So the crucifixion was dual. The first one was the 24-hour period of the scourging and the trial and the inevitable nailing to the cross and then dying on the cross. And very unpleasant. But the next crucifixion was God from within the blood that had to transform into the Holy Ghost to go forward in time, which is the realms within realms of Ezekiel. It's all happening simultaneously. That Daphne conceived, and there from that point onwards the crucifixion began all over again, but this time not crucifying Jesus, crucifying God. So the sad part about Jesus realising that God had to be crucified, not himself. Understand? That's what it's all about.
Alright, so this is now Adam's response, reading from the email. He says, "Oh Yah, it has been beautiful that I never need to elaborate or explain my most deep musings, you always being ahead by a country mile and then some. The thought I expressed had come round and round as if the central question all mankind has ever been asking, an unfinished jigsaw, some of the pieces missing, some having had the lugs deformed by the pseudo-Semite so they could never fit anyway. You replacing those pieces with a perfectly fitting replacement. I hear you now in the shows having a lovely little chuckle to yourself as Ash speaks your mind, your first representative, the chuckles showing your satisfaction at long last exceeding your disappointments and pains. Strangely, I feel no pride nor sense of achievement in myself, seeing it all as a simple learning curve that was always there, the ego shamed into skulking off, tail between its legs, its horns no more than a strawberry jelly now. I am laughing softly and shaking my head at the same time, seeing the simple truth for what it is, an obvious thing, the truth, capital T and capital T. Only is it due to time having passed, the end of time itself. Time not a measurement as such, more just a concept left by you to be understood in its proper context, that being God. Not a man-made thing, a divine God-made thing. Perhaps that is the central lie, as you have said, that God made time, not man, the lie that Jesus was a Jew, minuscule by comparison. I feel still, though not dead, my heart lifted, my heart self-supporting, as we put in a single word, eternal. The words already carrying a deeper meaning, deep though floating on the surface. All is as poetry now, as I write it is simultaneous, my last words creating the next. I adore this feeling of speechlessness, perhaps the death of my ego, this week being a huge set of subtle coincidences, and for my good friend Andy, the disabled chap also, maybe from just being near me, but essentially for my being near him, my compassion for him, one who has killed many in fake wars, my understanding his self-doubt and pain, though not judging him in any way for his crimes, that are not his crimes, because the pseudo-Semite had tricked him. And right now, I finally see how it is that you can forgive iniquity, that which we name mitigation in equitable law. I am now reminded that See, that's capital S-E-E, as in referring to the Vatican and the Holy See, as in Holy See means low, behold. Okay, I'm crapping on. My phone is ringing. Okay, I'm crapping on. And there was something else I had thought, but it will come back to me. And I must sleep, though I do not feel tired. Just here with a Mona Lisa smile.
Hello.
Oh, and I have just remembered that you will never say
Hello. Yes.
Just listening. Yeah, may need me to go to the phone. This also occurs to me to mean that you have the... Yeah, he needs me. All right, we might have to end it there. It's after...
Yeah, Perry for you.
Okay. Hello, Perry.
There's a phone call coming in from New Guinea. The communications up there is totally dreadful and very expensive. Something like 88 cents a minute. And for the local people, they can't afford too much when they aren't working. But we have our people up there. What I'm trying to organise is to build a school up there for the children. And I have mentioned this briefly, that the area where our tribe is our people which believe in me, are right on the coastline, on the bay across from the main part of Port Moresby. And so it's a gentle tide, goes in and out, raises about 3 or 4 feet. And a lovely sight to see. I've got movies of it actually, of 200 or 300 little kids, all brown, rushing in and playing in the water and running and sliding and on the mud flow as the mud sort of settles. Very slippery because they get their piece of plastic and run and jump along and slide back and forth. But what I want to do is build a floating deck of a series of decks, one at a time, of course, about 30 or 40 feet square, and have them floating on pontoons so that the kids can have a schooling, and we'll pay for the teachers and so forth. We've already got a headmaster lined up. What?
Oh, he's going to send a text, and he'll send a text to explain. It's just touching bases.
Okay.
All right, now let me finish reading this letter and then we can go, because this is... Okay, I'm reminded now that sea as in holy sea means lo, behold. Okay, I'm crapping on. All right, he talks about the Mona Lisa smile, and I have just remembered that you will never say to anyone... Oh, yeah, this is true. That you will never say to anyone who you think they were in their former incarnation until they ask you directly. And even then, he's not really concerned. This is me just... he's not concerned. It's the main players have come in, and then pretty much after I found him, because he was expecting Martha to find him for years because I was his wife. And then, I take over doing the work.
Well, I found Mary Magdalene. I mean, that was a horror.
Yeah.
But it had to be.
Yes.
Very, very important mathematical series of events that link first wife and third wife together. Jezebel's the first wife, Lucifer's choice, and then you've got Mary Magdalene, which is also Lucifer's choice. She was one of the women that was totally inept, totally unattractive, and a woman that didn't get any of it. But because of being Essene, she was the older sister, and Mary Magdalene does play a formidable role in doing nothing, because she was the one that had the 7 demons, the devils, driven out. Right, so Martha didn't have 7 devils driven out because she wasn't incapable of containing devils. She was pure. So trying to make Mary Magdalene the virtuous woman was an impossibility. But she had to be. She caused the crucifixion, actually. Yeah. All part of it.
Right. Yeah. This also occurs to me to mean that you have the power to take the world, smash it, and start again.
That is right.
We have talked about this. As a matter of fact,
close.
As a matter of fact, from the beginning, after because it was my sole drive as Martha to find him, when I did, and I realised, because I knew so much already, the angels had downloaded me with the information, so it was me literally prodding Yah, and Yah said to me, Adam, you actually said it this morning in one of your messages, how I have brought you to life again. Well, Yah said to me, and he said it to others, that it's the second time that he had presented literally a dead body to Martha, because it was in my finding him that I brought life back to Yah. He says that you were what? Old, feeling very old and worn out and dead, like the body off the cross. So that is my role and my soul drive. And to explain a little, even when we walked into the post office at Mandurang, and Kim knew who we were because she described me. I was the light and Yah was the brain. So, and this is my role as the mother, to bring light to the understanding of the minds of those who are ordained to find us both and understand and believe. And when I say understand, I don't mean I mean to comprehend the mind of God, which is impossible, but you do get it. And we've talked about this starting all over again, because I said to Yah, things are much worse now than they were at the cross. And I knew before I found him that it could have been all over Rover at the cross. However, it was because Martha, myself, were carrying the twins at the cross. This was the reason to go on, and the reason for the future, and would be the bloodline that would get us both back here. And still today it is Farworth, and we have talked about starting all over again. And some of you have got this and have said, it's like you've given, it's okay, we understand, because you don't. Nobody wants this suffering to continue, especially the children. And Adam, you talked about Yah not being able to cry the tears, and I think I wrote that I've cried the tears. We had this discussion nights ago, because Yah said he hasn't been able to cry, but I have. And in the years leading up to finding him, I was looking for him, the body of flesh on the earth. And one of the first things, how I have mourned, wailed and grieved. And I knew it was a deep mourning, and I knew it was for and on behalf of God himself. So all those tears that he couldn't cry, I cried. I have. It was a deep wailing and grieving. And right before I found him was the last time. And I have since I found him. The night we went, the first night we were staying in Papua New Guinea in 2008, Yah was seriously pissed off with the angels I'm talking about. And he said, we are leaving here unless something gives. And I burst into that grieving, mourning, wailing. And I said, if we go, nobody else cares. It is us. Only we can do this because nobody else cares. All they see, I remember these words, all they see, all the world sees is the gold. They come here for the gold, not for the people. So we remained, and of course the breakthrough was actually within an hour. We sat at the table, and there was an 888 on the table. So this was the beginning. Okay, we remained, and we did. We were there 4 weeks to do what we did in 2008. So those tears have been cried, but it was by the mother for the father, because it was in my own life, I've remained innocent in that, not even recognizing the evil around me, but I always felt it was a protection, and for that I'm grateful. It is start again, as I've heard you say, but that you won't do it at this time. It is the same point that you will not take the kingdom and crown yourself. It is for humanity. We must not use the word mankind anymore, as it degrades the woman, to crown you themselves, to prove to God that humanity has understood its deepest questions, to show God that we understand monarchy is the nature of the moral order of things, that we understand our free will was only for this one purpose, in loving acceptance of monarchy, not in a begrudging sense of fatalism, but in a loving knowledge that the only alternative represented by the Mishnah is a terrible thing known as Satan, deliberately spelt with a small s. And as I checked the meaning of motu proprio recently, it is here that it becomes appropriate to mention that definition, even by Wikipedia standards. A motu proprio, which is Latin for on his own impulse, is a document issued by the Pope or by a monarch on his own initiative and personally signed by him. When issued by the Pope, a motu proprio may be addressed to the whole church, to part of it, or to some individuals. So there it is that the Catholic Church places a Pope in a position to split the church asunder should the Pope choose to do so, as Petrus Romanus has done, the only church to have that particularity, that making the Catholic Church a monarchy, not a corporation, Vatican II dividing the church into such a corporation as Vatican III points out. And there, that document, as Petrus says, is a wonderful document. And I am moved as I write for that man, at his age, having such a decision placed before him. So as the same, you will not tell us who you think we are, neither will you crown yourself King New Guinea. Now we're talking about Papua New Guinea, now making perfect sense. Their invitation to you and the declaration of a national holiday being that humanitarian declaration that you sought since the beginning. And then he has ended with the end, all capitalized. And then it goes on, but that's Adam's response to Yah's letter to him.
Good.
All right. With that, we are way past the hour where we have to say, have a good weekend. Because it is that time here for us, and we'll be back on Monday, our time, at 12 noon. I'll just go through some of your comments. You've been having a lot over in the chat room while I was on another window. And yes, by the Mother, for the Father, the Holy Ghost. 1111s, yes. Sorry, I'm on a roll, says Hirad. And Mark says Judaism equals Babylonian Satanism. They try and hide that fact. You're absolutely right. This is a mystery religion. It's Judaism. And it's been the counterfeit synagogue of Satan. They have many masks, yes, they're lies, use subterfuge language, they have infiltrated all the nations. And Adam says, thank you, much has been explained again. All right, guys, so again, love and thanks to you all over in the chat room, and to those who are listening, and we don't know that you are listening, but and of course those who will get this from the archives. Diane says, Ash, if you scroll down, you'll see why, while you are reading the letter, to where I was talking to the cops while you were talking. All right, Diana, I can't scroll back, hun, until I get out of the show to see it, because the cursor on this doesn't go back far enough unless you post the conversation again. So it's in this current window. I can only go back as far as what I see on the screen. Oh, Diana says the cops were listening. Isn't that interesting?
Well, listening to the show.
Listening to the show. All right, so they were there in your room. We're talking about the policemen from Nimbin. I always like to call them policemen, not cops. I don't like the name cops.
I don't like the word cops.
Or pigs or anything else that they are called. These are men and women who are
well, they're good people.
For the most part, doing the best.
If you don't have police, you've got a problem.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally supports the good police who are doing their job, and he does. He tries to educate them over and over and over. I explained to Adam yesterday or the day before that for the longest part until I found him, Yah would write himself emails knowing that they'd have to be read by ASIO, and he was educating them for the most part, regardless of where it didn't go in the world at large. But he
so
was
when the penny drops in
up.
Australia, they'll be a different people altogether, right? That's one thing you say about Australians. You piss them off in the right direction, they'll pick it up. But it all got to go back to the police. The police that must realise that those above them are Freemasons, which are Jews.
All right, so Diana is saying that they were Lismore police. They were at the door, and she told them that Yah is their boss, and they were listening at the reading. Okay. Hira says they must be glad to know this info. Yeah, public servants they are supposed to be. I just had the sheriff to the door looking for my son. I had the show on so they could hear it. Okay. All right. Let's hope they some of it sinks in as the seed planted.
It will.
Yeah. Right. All right. It's 1:18 here, so everybody have a good weekend, and we will be back on Monday. Oh, wait on. Diana continues. I told them who Yah is and told them to go look him up at the Tugum. At the Tugum police. No, Tugum doesn't have a police station. It's Harvey Bay. I told them I was just talking on the Galantly Martial Hour radio show about the declaration and notice of claim served through Lismore Courthouse. Yeah, that was a story in itself. They shut down the entire courthouse. We're there to support somebody that we met again while we're in Nimbin through blah, blah, blah. And we said, all right, take the documents to the courthouse before his appearance on the Friday. So he did it. He dropped the notice and declaration of claim into the Lismore Courthouse. So we and about 20 others go to support him. Lenny is his name. Now, Lenny had been in and out of the courts for years, in and out of jail for years, and it's all through the straw man, etc., and that kind of thing. Good guy, but challenging them. So he'd been in and out of jail for years, and he knew that he was going to go to jail again. So anyway, just said, we'll drop these off at the courthouse. So he did on the Monday. So now Lismore has to be one of the busier courthouses in all of New South Wales, like Campbelltown was for Yah. We get there, and the place is empty. There's no public. There's not even any security that day. Diana, you remember? And so we go, all right, well, where are we supposed to be? We're supposed to be upstairs. No security. The scanners had been taken away. We go up there. There is no public around. The street was empty. And so Lenny and his supporters were all sitting down beside Yah, who's with his computer. But there were 6 policemen sitting along the window, overhearing what Yah again was teaching the audience, the captive audience. So we go in, and Lenny ends up, he made the mistake of going to the dock. He was standing in his place, and he was asking the magistrate to repeat his oath of office, which the magistrate refused to do. Lenny asked him probably a dozen times. He refused to, and then he went over to the dock, and once he went to the dock,
you're gone.
He's gone. And the magistrate was already writing out mentally ill or something like that. So Lenny was taken away, and he was sent to Sydney for psychiatric assessment. He was gone for about, I believe, 3 weeks. And they assessed him as being competent and all the rest of it. It didn't stand. And so after 3 weeks, he was released. But the point is, they closed down the courthouse. Once again, there was nobody else around.
And upstairs, the police are hanging out the window taking a video of it.
And Diana, are you talking about 2 ASIO filming? Are you talking about filming then at the Lismore Courthouse from those years ago with Lenny? 12 sheriffs in the courtroom. Yeah. Now, yes, the whole point was that Lenny was wanting the magistrate to repeat his oath of office because it ends with Almighty God, and at that point Yah was to stand up and say, well, I'm here in the courtroom. This court is mine. And that is why the magistrate refused and why they closed down the courthouse. So, and all Lenny was doing was driving without the, straw man license and all the rest of it. And so anyway, he was carted off again, and I believe Lenny, blames us for him going off again. Well, he was very prepared to go off again for a whole lot longer. I think he'd spent Dino Mo wrote, a total of 4.5 years out of the previous 12 years, serving these short sentences for all the things he was doing to drive home the straw man thing. Yes, she says. All right, at the courthouse. Okay, all right, Mark is saying take care, everyone. Bye for now. Bye-bye, Mark. And good night, 30 witnesses. Yes, Diana. It was a raw, wasn't it? A ripping yarn, all part of our ripping yarn. So good to know that more of the police at Nimbin have been hearing this show. And with that, we'll see. It's 80 minutes. We're up to 80 minutes. Over and out. Judgment is his. All right. Later, Gators. Bye.
Bye.